Welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show. I have a special treat for you all today. I could not sleep last night waiting for this episode. So, man, I am so excited because I have known this man for over a decade. And it goes back to when I was on Strong, NBC Strong. It was like 2015, 2016. And I started using these things called Theraguns. And let me tell you what, I lived on Theraguns. Theraguns and ibuprofens. And guys, you're in for a treat today. I have Dr. Jason Wersland in the house, and he is the founder and chief wellness officer of Therabody, which many are like, I know Theragun. Well, Therabody, because you see him on commercials now, and they've come out of the woodwork. But I am so excited for today's episode. You're in for a real treat. And I hope you're excited. You might be working out. You might be on a plane, train, or automobile, but buckle up your bootstraps because we are going to have one heck of an episode today. Just so you can get a feel for who this man is. Take a listen. He's the inventor of Theragun and founder and chief wellness officer of Therabody, actively involved in the company's research and development process. Dr. Jason has been instrumental in driving the progression of Theragun through 6 generations and in developing the brand's full ecosystem of award-winning products, content, and services. Therabody finished 2023 having launched 10 new products. Is that right?
Yeah.
10? Wow. And earning 34 awards, including Fast Company 2023 World Changing Idea, Time 2023 Best Inventions, Popular Science, Best of What's New Awards 2023, and on and on and on. I could list them all. The idea for the category-defining percussive therapy device came to then practicing chiropractor after a traumatic freeway accident he'll talk about, left him in debilitating pain that garnered pain management recommendations, including prescription medicine or surgery. That device not only helped Dr. Jason relieve his own pain, but later helped the patient of Dr. Jason's alleviate pain from a separate incident as well. And now that device is helping millions of people worldwide. Last thing here with Dr. Jason has dedicated his life to helping people take control of their health and well-being. And he believes every body should have access to cutting-edge therapies that can help improve both their lives as individuals and create healthier communities. He understands that regardless of the ability and how people use their bodies, pain is a universal language, and the fact motivates him to continue inventing and perfecting technologies and products that help people get out of pain and keep moving. Guys, I could go on and on Dr. Jason, but I got to tell you, he is one of the kindest, most sincere, genuine human beings that I know. And when I asked him to come on to the Impact Show, he said, only if I can drive down from Los Angeles and come on live. So in studio today, we have the one and only Dr. Jason Wersland in the house. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks. That sounds really good, reading that to me.
Like I needed that.
I did, actually. That was good.
Listen, I am really excited to have our community, our tribe, hear from you because I know many of them have used Therabody products before. Of course, the Theragun. I've been an advocate for literally 10 plus years in going back to those strong days and in everything that I do out in the world. I'm always taking Therabody with me. I want to say thank you for being here today and thank you for all you've done for so many people.
No, thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity and back at you. Well, changing lives.
I got some rapid fire questions, some get to know you questions, but the rapid fire, because some of them you can go off on, but we'll circle back. Get to know you with Dr. Jason. What's the hardest thing you've ever been through? Starting off with a bang. I'm not even waiting. The hardest thing you've ever been through.
I went through a bankruptcy and a divorce at the same time.
Whoa. Yeah, you got to feel already, my friends.
Very real.
Do you have a favorite quote that you live by?
Yeah, I have a few. Character is one. Character is the ability to follow through with a decision after the motion of making the decision is gone. So think about that. You committed to something. Suddenly something shows up and you're like, I got to do that today. You committed to it. The emotion's gone, so you have to stick to what you committed to. So it's being able to follow through with the decision after the emotion is gone of making that decision.
Yeah.
So that's one for me. I know there's a few other ones that I could think of. Tony Robbins is a big one.
Yep.
People do more to avoid pain than they do to gain pleasure. And I'm a big believer in shifting that mind about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if my kids were here, they'd probably tell you I have a couple more. Those are some that come off the top of my mind.
Those are good.
But those are good ones. I mean, I think I think the universe speaks to you through those. Yep. It doesn't matter how many times you've seen them or heard them.
Yeah.
Sometimes students ready, teacher appears, bam, suddenly it makes so much sense to you then. So there's a few that I've used.
So on social media, I see you're all over the world regularly through a lot of your initiatives with Therabody. I see you at a lot of sporting events. I know you were at the Olympics recently. You're all over the place. But if you have a favorite sport to watch, what is it?
To watch? Man,
without getting any other athletes all ticked off, like what's the thing? Like it's a Sunday afternoon. You just want to watch this.
There's certain players I love watching in every sport. So no matter what's happening, last night watching the Bills play, Josh is great. So is Trevor, but just seeing those two go at it, I just was excited about that. Soccer too. You sit in some of those stadiums over there. Whoa. There's nothing like that. Sitting in Old Trafford watching a Man U game and just every moment. There's no TVs. People don't realize that. There's no TVs. They're not playing instant replay. That. You have to watch the game.
Versus you're at the stadium and you're sitting there watching the big screen.
Or another game.
Exactly. You're doing work with Man U, are you not?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
I still haven't been to a soccer game over there. I need to get to one of those. I know.
I mean, it's one of those we should things, but we really should. I'm there enough.
What's amazing?
They're so much fun.
What's amazing is people always say, what's your favorite football team? I'm like, honestly, I don't really have a favorite team.
Dude, I'm the same way.
I just vote. I root for my guys. Yeah. Wherever my guys are,
I'm the same way. It's funny because you're in sports and people say, who's your team? And they're so excited to hear your team is. And you're kind of like,
yeah.
Today?
Yeah. This is going to put you in a bind here, but your favorite Therabody product?
I mean, it's the gun always. It's going to be Theragun. Yeah. It's always been such a part of my life. It's what I think about almost every day about. So it's become such a thing. But I think my second favorite close tie is the boots and our TheraFace Pro, the one for the face.
Yeah.
Those two are the other two
TheraFace Pro. Every day. Are those the goggles or those that...
It's a little massage gun you hold in your hand and it has... I should have brought one, but it actually is for your face. It's a Theragun for your face. It has red light, a little ring. So while you're doing my crow's feet every night with my little attachment, it's amazing. It also gets you super tired, so I can go right to sleep. So I use the boots, the TheraFace Pro every day, and I use the gun every day. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard. Who's your favorite child?
Yeah. Depends who's in the room, right?
Yeah.
But as you know, we're actually putting a lot of Therabody product into our new Impact X Performance facilities. And I'm excited for that. I know we got a lot of Therabody products coming in. I know the boots, all the percussive guns, the eye goggles,
the chair, the
lounger. Yep. I mean, we're pumped up. I can't wait. We just got a call right before we went live here today.
Yeah.
And you brought in the new Theragun Prime Plus. What is that all about? A new product hitting the stores like now.
Yeah, it's a Prime Plus. We launched our Pro Plus in fall of has it been a year already?
23.
Yeah, we launched earlier this year in London. So in 23 we launched our Pro Plus, and that thing had red light. Remember me showing you had red light,
yes.
Had a bunch of different attachments. So the way we do things typically in Therabody is we'll make something for the pros, and then we'll make something that then every person can use that we can just throw around in your gym. So this is one you could toss around in the gym. It's super durable. It doesn't have red light and all the other modalities that one of your physios downstairs might use.
Yep.
So those are kind of the ways we look at things. Like, let's get it in the physio's hands, and then what's the good pieces of that that we can bleed down to the regular people like us.
Yep.
So that has a heated attachment, and it's money. Yeah.
Can't wait to check it out. Thank you for bringing it. Last get to know you question. What's the most exciting thing happening in your life these days?
Well, we just launched today.
Mm.
Well, I don't know where this is going to run, but we just launched today a bunch of new products. I think what's most exciting is we're firming up. That's the best way to say it. We're firming up our foundation as a company to be able to scale and grow.
Mm.
And I think still today, the most exciting thing for me is when I look at what my goal is to have a Theragun in every house in the world. 7 billion people, 8 billion people. Have we hit 1% yet?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's exciting to me is we haven't hit 1% yet. So we're not even hitting a clip. How many people have MacBooks and have iPods and have,
right.
I mean, you think about the number of cell phones in Africa, there's billion cell phones just in Africa. So you think about all of those people that still don't have access. That's what's exciting to me, is how do we continue making our message resonate with the communities so that they start looking at us for pain relief.
Yep. How many total products are there right now in the Therabody suite?
33, 34.
I was thinking about this in preparation. I'm like, I don't even know how many products there are now, because heck, when we met about a decade ago, there was one. Theragun, right? And now there's so many. Matter of fact, many of you probably don't know this, but there are several what's called reset programs around the country that Therabody had recently launched. And I went to one because Dr. Jason, when I was starting Impact X Performance, I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm combining fitness and recovery under one roof. What are some must-haves and must-dos to make it a world-class? And he just opened up his playbook and said, here's what I would do if I was you. And then I went up to the reset in Manhattan Beach. And I took my son, Brady. Brady didn't want to leave. He was like, he loved it. He was like, this is amazing.
I'll Uber home, Dad.
He was in the hyperbaric chamber.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
On that. But it's amazing to see the number of products in the suite overall on that. So in your professional world, you're a chiropractor by trade.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm curious, I mentioned in the beginning in the bio, but tell me more about how Theragun came to fruition as a chiropractor. Here you are, you're practicing as a chiro. How did all this come to be?
I was in 2007.
Okay.
I was in a motorcycle accident. I had opened a practice in LA in January of 2006. So 2007, October 2007, almost 18, 19 months later, I had this accident. I was splitting traffic on the freeway, and I was on a bike, and you don't ever win when you hit T-bone a Volkswagen.
Oh.
So I ended up head first, and I had a severe disc injury in my neck. And I went to my practice, and I was looking around my practice for something that I could use on myself. And everything in there was for chronic injuries.
How bad was the pain? Were you like in debilitating, couldn't work kind of pain?
By December, about 40 days later, I was in so much pain. I wasn't sleeping.
Yep.
I'd gone home to Utah for Christmas. I'd flown back on an airplane, and that pressure and being in a different altitude in Utah and then coming back down to all of that combined, I don't tell the story very often, but I got locked up on the airplane. I mean, I fell asleep like this, and then I woke up and I couldn't move. That was probably the most scary moment. They had to bring a wheelchair down the thing, put me in, wheel me out.
And you're how old at this point? You're young.
30. Wow. 30. Let me see. 34,
so
maybe?
Young 30s.
Yeah.
Locked up. You're like, what's going on?
Ugh.
Wow.
So I'm basically now looking in my practice for what can I use on myself. But what I want people to understand is, if you think about the pain you've been in a lot of pain.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't immediately go away ever. You can't make it stop unless you go morphine and they take you to the hospital or something. So I'm living in this real life of, okay, I'm a chiropractor, I'm in pain. What do I do?
That's right.
And the only options that I really found anywhere that everyone led me to was surgery, medication. And I'm like, but I'm not dying. I'm just in pain. So I was looking in my practice for something I could use. long story short, I have a table that vibrated. So I started leaning on the table, vibrating with my armpit. We had a tool in the office that was, I always say it's about the size of a Coke can, and it vibrated. So I would take that home, and the vibration didn't work. And I can explain more if you want me to. And then I realized, wait a second, I need something that does this to my body, that pounds my body, but in a way that I can control how much pressure I'm applying.
Yep.
I'm like, well, I can make that. So I'll just make one in the meantime. So I went to my garage and I got a jigsaw, Makita jigsaw. I bent the blade, wrapped a dish towel around the blade, wrapped electric tape around that. And I just started experimenting.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I'm not the first one that's thought of that, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think what was happening is I was using it for pain. That's what's different than a lot of other people. They're using it for massage. I was using it on my skin. Think about that for a second. A lot of people don't know this. When you put Theragun lightly on your skin, it's touching the fastest acting neurons to your brain. Pain travels to the brain at 55 miles an hour. 55 miles an hour. And these sensations, the air you're feeling on your skin, if it gets hot, a prickly, you can feel the difference between a feather and a Q-tip. That's the nerve endings that you're touching. So using Theragun lightly on your skin actually relieves the pain. So that's what I was doing. And it had to go all the way on, all the way off. So now I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I used it for the first 3 months only for pain.
Okay.
And then it slowly evolved from there. And I made the first Theragun, used it on a guy between 2008 and 2016.
Wow.
I made 5 different versions.
8 years.
This is back right before I met you.
Yeah.
So by the time I met you, I felt comfortable giving it to someone like you and saying, you're not going to hurt yourself.
I loved it. I remember I fell in love. That thing saved my life.
Man, when it got on that show and you guys were using it, that was such a big moment for me.
My life. I was in so much, it's a nightmare pain.
Yeah, and ironically, going from the skin thing to muscle, we've learned also we have 30 studies, more than that, published studies. We got a lot of published studies on how to use it to relieve DOMs.
Yeah.
To take care of before and during and after a workout with all the effects it has. So we've learned a lot. But back to your original question, I created it in 2007 to help me with pain, developed it over 8 or 9 years, launched it as a company in 2016, and then it was like a rocket ship after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to talk about that in a moment, the rocket ship and, some of the leadership things you're doing now. But it's interesting because I think back when I was in that show competing, I'm a massage therapist. So I got it right away. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I've never seen this because I don't think there were any other percussive devices out there that I'd never seen.
At the time, there wasn't anything like
nothing.
that.
Now there are probably dozens, but I've never seen anything like this. So I got it right away. And I remember probably spending hours every day in between competitions of just using it from feet to fingertips, literally from the bottom of my feet to we would be massaging each other with the Theragun, and it was awesome on that. So from 2016 till now, there's been a lot of changes, obviously.
Yeah, big changes.
Lot to add that.
Yeah.
So if you can bring me through your journey, and if you can bring it down to maybe 3 or 5 top lessons as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that you've learned, probably some great wins, but probably some mistakes that you probably don't even want to talk about. Like it probably hurts to talk about some of the ones, but we have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen in, or business owners or small business owners that listen in. If there's a few nuggets of wisdom from a leadership standpoint, or just as an entrepreneur, what would be a few of the highlight lessons?
You have to have, I think you've got to start by having someone in your life that understands what you're trying to do. You have to have a partner that gets it, because it's lonely. It gets really lonely sometimes.
Talk more about that.
You just, they say this saying, behind every strong man's an even stronger woman. I mean, that's the case for me. I really wouldn't have what I have if I didn't have strong people around me.
Mm-hmm.
I started with that. And then when my business partner came on in 2016, he was strengths that I wasn't. And that was so helpful because I suddenly didn't have to juggle, these relationships and conversations with the Raiders or USC. I could be there and do what I do and then have the business side of things, the things that I don't like, that I'm not necessarily super good at, I have become over the years, but at the time for us to grow like we needed to, it needed to be someone. I couldn't do it all.
Yep.
So I think what you have to learn is who can you trust? That's one of the hardest things. And I think for me, I have a group of people. I had a conversation with someone, and they talked about a pentagon, and they had 5 people in their life that they would run big decisions by, just to make sure, am I crazy or am I not crazy?
Yep.
And I think having those people around me in different stages of of this growth has really helped me step into what I'm really good at.
Which is what?
Relationships, solutions, finding a solution for something. I think this idea of resourcefulness, it's a word that I like, that resonates with me because I've always been that way. In whatever situation, I think I've just been able to find a way. When I was growing up, my dad was in the flooring business, and so we used to lay carpet. And so from my early teens until my early 20s, I was, throwing rug, putting tile in, doing hardwood. And you have to be resourceful. You don't have tools for every little thing that you run into. So I think resourcefulness is something that I'm really good at. Relationships, resourcefulness, and then delivering. Just being able to deliver. Like, you want this, let me work on it, and I'll get back to you, and I'll make sure that we come as close as we can to that.
What do you do when you pride yourself on delivering, but you haven't delivered? Meaning like a customer service nightmare, or something happens, and you're like, they don't know how much you take it to heart. Every gun or every piece that goes out, how you want everyone to have a great experience. I know you, and you could have 1,000 people praise you and one person be mad, and your mind goes to that one person who's upset and hates Therabody because the one person, like the mailman messed it up, and you feel guilty. Like, how do you get over that? How do you deal
it's different now than it was in the early days. I get people upset on Instagram. They'll come and say, hey, I reached out to your customer service and blah, blah, blah. And every one of those I will track back to customer service. So it's a little different now where I can actually hand it off to someone and then I get confirmation. We're all good. Everything's fine.
Yep.
But in the early days, it was challenging, like if you go back in my Instagram, if you scroll down, there was a couple of Christmases where our stuff didn't show up in time. And now suddenly people that had placed pre-orders for their dad on Christmas, and now they don't have anything to give. I mean, I was in tears one day at a hotel. They called and said, we're not going to be able to do this. And I was like, I have to talk. Like, I have to get on at least let me say something. I got to say something on Instagram. Like 100%. I can't just let Christmas come and go and have thousands of people be upset because they didn't get their product. So those moments are real. Yeah. I got on and I me, I'm emotional. I got tearful thinking about, we're sending a picture of a Theragun instead of like the real Theragun and hoping like, hey dad, by the way, we'll get you in a couple weeks, like that. It was tough. Those moments were so hard. Yeah.
I feel you on that. I could totally feel you.
Yeah.
Okay. So lonely at the top, you have people around you, almost like an advisory board. Stay in your great lane, stay where you're great at on that. Be resourceful, delivery. Any other top lessons that you would say kind of stand out?
Yeah, I think as a business, I really wish, we were talking about this earlier, but I wish that I would have had a team around me that wasn't family. And when I say that, I mean, get a good attorney, get a really good accountant, even if it's a firm and you start with some lower level person that's just kind of getting in, and they kind of get a chew into what you're doing and financing and understanding your flow of cash. That's really important, because when you're creating a dream, those things bring you down. You have to look at that you have a negative in the bank, or you're not going to have that, or the cash flow's not going to hit, or those different things. And like that's tough when you're trying to heal the world, in a way, and then suddenly you got to turn around and be like, oh, and there's my manure in my house, So having someone that can at least guide you through a quarter by quarter as you do your taxes, I would recommend highly that you at least get someone on retainer. You can send your documents to, can you once over this for me? And then also your finances, get that straight. So you don't have to worry about those things. Those are probably the two biggest pieces of advice, because I mean, how do you say this? All blessing. What's the opposite of God forbid? Like you wish for it, it's going to happen. Guess what? Success is going to come. And all of a sudden now what do you do with all that?
Yeah.
And if you're not prepared, if you're not prepared for the universe to give you those things, then and you don't have a place for them.
Yeah.
Then where do they go? And I'm living. You were talking about this earlier. Like, I'm living proof of that. You have things that happen and you weren't prepared for that. Yeah. There's nowhere to put them.
That's right.
So it's super important, I think, that you have a good foundation of people around you that are really good at what they do. Accountants, attorneys, a business manager, if you can do that. And there's people out there that'll do it for, if it's a couple grand a month for those things, it's a couple grand a month you need to look at as an investment, not an expense.
Yep. So talk a little bit deeper about that. Let's say you had some, I don't know, was it 6 months or 2 years of, I'll say, financial struggle of like, I can't bring on an accountant or an attorney.
Oh, I'm not making money. That.
So how do you get through that time where you have a big dream and you're looking at the bank account and you're like, this isn't matching up. I'm trying to solve the world's problems. And like, there's very little money in the bank, or you're drawn from the bank. Did you go out and raise money? Do you say, you know what, I'm going to eat ramen noodles until this thing gets through? Like, what's the mindset? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs listening in who are in that boat. They're a startup, or they've been doing this and they believe in something, and their dream doesn't match their bank account yet.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I get that.
Talk about it.
I feel that so deep when you say those things. So I think one of the things you have to, I'm going to assume, I feel like the universe called me to do this. And I think when people are aligned with their purpose, you feel that way. And so I can't ignore that.
It's good.
I'll be honest, Todd, there were days I woke up and I didn't know what to do. And so I did what I knew what to do.
I feel that. Like,
I would get up and go treat somebody. I'd find somewhere where I could go and I could just get some juju.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, I love that place. There's a couple places that were close to where I lived. And I'd just load up with Theraguns. I knew that someone was going to smile.
I'd feed your soul.
Yeah. I knew I was going to treat someone and someone was going to be grateful. And I needed that. And I found when I went out and did that, literally got out of my environment.
That's right.
I call them Theragun angels. These people would pop in. Hey, I got this guy. Can you run over? And suddenly now I'm treating a celebrity and he wants to see me every night for the next 30 days. And it's a $15,000 bill. And oh my gosh, it got me through. And things 100%. Like that. I believe that when you're doing what you're aligned to do with the universe, it gives you those openings.
Yeah. At just the right time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're
I've also learned that patience doesn't matter until you need it. Right? Hey, be patient. Well, that doesn't really mean anything until you actually have to be patient.
Right.
So for me, patience, the word doesn't start until it's hard. Okay, now it's hard. Now I got to be patient.
Right.
And trusting and believing. I think the universe is put together for me. The universe makes sense if I'm moving. If I'm not moving, This goes back to what you and I do on a daily basis. If I'm not moving, I'm not giving the universe an opportunity to influence my movements, my life.
Yep.
If I'm just sitting in my house on Instagram, that's not going to help.
That's right.
So whether I have to get up and go work out or sit in a cold plunge or go down to the beach or whatever that thing is for me, we were talking about another friend of ours earlier, but I had a friend of mine a while ago when I was going through these times. He said to me, just sit down. He made me do it with him. I want you to design your perfect day. What's your perfect day? Don't get crazy like flying an airplane and going to this. Like, what's your perfect day right now?
Yeah.
And I sat down. I said, I got up at this time. I worked out. I went and had breakfast. I came back. I did some work. And I designed my perfect day. And he goes, when you're having a bad morning, just do your perfect day.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? So I knew that whatever happened that day, I was going to be my perfect day. I was going to feel good. I might get a bad phone call. I might see a bad email or whatever. But if I can stay focused, I think those were the times that you've got to get up and move so the universe can influence you.
What are some of the other things these days for you that make a perfect day? Like if you're struggling, you're like, I'm stuck, I'm stalled, I'm sitting here sucking on social media. Like what would be like 2, 3, 4 things that define a perfect day for you?
I have my golden hour and a half in the morning. If I get that in, I've become resilient enough, I think is a good way to say it, that if I get that hour and a half, and sometimes 2 hours, depending on what my time zone is and stuff, then I'm good. But if I miss that,
amen.
Yeah, right. So I don't need it to be a day.
Yeah.
But I do know what fills my bucket. Yeah. Hearing my children's voice, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, just having that connection. Having my wife, who's amazing, being there and her smile. Like, there's just the little things. It's so crazy. I sound like an old man, but it's really what it is.
But it's the simple thing.
Yeah, it is. It refuels you. And I've also learned, like, the universe never just stops. Like, things don't just quit. Yeah. That's not how it is. It takes a while on both sides. It takes a while to build, takes a while to fall. I've learned to just kind of not be so anxious about things.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the hardest thing that you deal with these days?
Yeah, wow. I had all the answers for 10 years ago. I don't have them right now.
No.
I don't know. I think it's probably, it's managing my state. That's probably what it is. Managing my state. Because you and I are problem solvers.
Yeah.
So guess what's going to come at us? Problems. Because we can solve problems. And we're support systems, and we're strength, and we're, never quit, and we're all those things. So I think for me, it's managing my state. Yeah. It's being able to just be. My son said something to me today that was such a lesson. We all go through those things in life, and he called me and we were chatting, father, son, and he called me and sort of as a resolution from that conversation, he said, Dad, all that pressure I told you I was feeling is actually a blessing. And I was like, whoa, this is a 26-year-old kid telling me this, that it's actually, this pressure is a blessing. Like, I get to be worried about this and that and this.
That's a mature young man,
right?
Saying pressure is a privilege.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, that's the word he used. Yeah, that's the words he used.
Wow.
So I think for me, it's having those moments where I just, hang on a second, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
When you create something and it becomes the world's, it's not yours. It puts to test the thing that I said all along, this is bigger than me. And so because it's bigger than me, letting other people have it be part of their lives has also been a challenge. It's tough.
Yeah.
But it's also seeing, like you said, millions of people are feeling the effects of these products.
Yeah.
So that all I have to do is take a half a step back and realize that, and I'm like, okay, I'm good.
How old are your kids now?
Son's 26, and my daughter this Sunday will be 25.
It's 26 and 25.
Yeah.
Wow. They're growing up. They're growing up. Right? That is crazy.
Think about that. Like when we met, how young the kids were. Yeah.
They're teens. They're young teens on that.
They were real problems then.
So now, obviously, I believe that recovery has become in vogue. Like there's so many recovery, like you think about, again, even before COVID, it was starting. I remember 2019, I did a big talk on it, but it was popular 10 years ago, but now it's really in vogue. Where do you see all the, like you're in the middle of it. Where do you see this space going? I mean, we've got a franchise that involves fitness and recovery. Your whole business is recovery. Where do you see this whole space going, recovery?
Well, it's not linear.
Yep.
Sure. I think it's to understand the growth of this. When I came and saw you 10 years ago, we were trying to figure out how to put Theraguns in your gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that. So think about the paradigm shift that we've had where now you're calling me saying, hey, I have a space where I want to put some stuff in there for recovery. So look at what's happened over the last 10 years. That wasn't linear. That was all of your people understanding how important recovery is. In a training setting, I don't have to go very far for this to echo. You're only as good as your recovery. You get stronger when you recover. You get stronger when you sleep. You get stronger when you nutrient. You're not getting stronger in the gym.
That's right.
So this concept of recovery, people are starting to understand, oh, wow, if I put more time outside of working out, I actually perform better while I'm working out. So I think it started with, for me, here's a Theragun. Imagine that being the foot in the door. Now the door is pried wide open. It's a garage door and there's trucks driving in and out of there. That's grown so much. I think what's going to happen with recovery is people are going to start recognizing that this is what I say. I'm the chief wellness officer at Therabody, and wellness is a practice, not a state. Health is a state. So when you're doing your daily wellness routines, you're changing your state, which is your health, which is your biometrics. You have your watch or whatever is telling you what your HRV is and all those things. The only way you really change that is through your wellness practices. You can't think your heart rate variability better, right? You got to do some action. You got to make some choices. So I think what's going to happen is people are going to start seeing a direct relation between fogginess, attitude, depression, to being able to take care of yourself. I was joking the other day. I said to someone, you never brush your teeth for the last time, unless something's wrong, like you're somewhere you shouldn't be. But it's not like you made your bed for the last time. It's not like you have to do that every day. So wellness is a practice. If you and I both know this now, because you've had injuries, I've had injuries. If we weren't such knuckleheads and just powered through it, I'm good. It'd be different. The bones would look different. The muscles around them would look different. It would just be different for us. So we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. So I think people are starting to see that now. Athletes are getting the attention they need without being shunned or ridiculed or what's the word I'm looking for? Punished for speaking up about a head trauma or a knee thing. Or now so I think where recovery is going, it's going to become more of a wellness practice, which is prevention.
Big time. Yeah.
So this idea of I'm going to do that on Saturday after I crush my body all week, we want to flip that script. So now you're doing it on Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday so that you can get through. It's about being resilient, right? Like being able to crush your body and then get strong again, then crush your body and get strong again.
Yeah, I hear it all the time now with not only athletes, but a lot of just high performers, a lot of entrepreneurs that they want to really peak out and that it's like, hey, I want 10x performance. I want to 10x my performance. I love that. But to 10x your performance, you better every bit of 10x your recovery.
Yeah, right.
Like you've got to double down on recovery. And it's not just because, hey, we're getting older and someone's in their 40s, 50s, or 60s now. I mean, I'm telling my 25-year-old pro quarterbacks, same exact thing. Like whether you're an athlete or you're a 55-year-old entrepreneur, I mean, it comes to recovery. We're talking physicality and mindset. All of these different aspects are crucial to being your best self. So heck, again, we're doing that at the franchise, and you're doing that on an everyday basis with Therabody, and you see them now popping up recovery shops everywhere.
Yeah.
I believe when you look into the crystal ball, that future forward, it's not just going to be in gyms or at IXPs. Eventually, I think there's going to be many little like recovery studios in businesses, in places where people work. Why? Because as this whole post-pandemic stuff, we want people back in the office. It's better for culture when people are actually in the room. Well, one way you get them in the room is put together a nice recovery studio, right? And now your people can take their hour-long break or 90 minutes. You got your gym, you got everything, and boom, you got everything in recovery. So you got your red light, you got your sauna, you got a cold plunge, you got your compression boots, you got your recliner, and you can do it before, after work, or take little breaks, right? I mean, to me, that's my crazy head thinking hey, we're going there. IXP is going there. Like, yeah, we're starting with brick and mortar, but I also know this is as we do more life coaching, we do more recovery, we do more fitness, it's going to become ubiquitous in the work world is people want high performance, but they also are starved for time. People don't have time.
Yeah.
So how can we integrate it? And it's not a huge investment on a company.
No.
When you say, hey, let me just put together a 600 or 800 square foot recovery studio, put together some of the top pieces that we're looking at here with Therabody, with what we're doing. The next thing you know, it's infused right into the worker's place.
We did we started with the kit you're doing in the gym you're working on.
Yeah.
We started with our corporate kit and we built out from there. So what we've done, I want to touch on a couple of things. Time is so important. And as at Therabody, as we've developed products, we put time protocols on everything we do. Because there's no way if you had to use everything in a day, you'd have. So what we've done.
Example. Go ahead. Yeah.
So an example is if you get our, let's call it a corporate kit.
Yep.
It's a lounger. I'll explain these.
That's us.
Lounger, goggles, boots, and Theramind. Theramind's the content that runs through the chair.
Correct.
So
we're getting that.
Yep. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So now think about this. You're in a zero gravity. And by the way, all of this happens in 15 minutes or less. You're in a zero gravity chair. So you take all the pressure, gravity off your body. So now the blood flow heart doesn't have to work so hard.
Love it.
Blood's not moving. It's just settling there. You're kicked back to zero gravity. Put boots on. Now you got your legs being squozen, pushing the blood back and forth up and down your legs. 30 minutes is like walking 2 miles. You're going to do it for 15, so there's a mile. Thanks. Then then you put goggles on.
They love them. I love
the goggles. Now you're getting like this spa for your face, a massage, heat, vibration, the best. And then you put the headphones on. Now you're feeling what you're hearing in the chair. So the music's playing, and it's not vibration; it's the frequencies playing through the chair. You get in there for 15 minutes, and that's a system reset. That's why we call it reset.
Yep.
You know how you reset your phone, you reset your laptop. Sometimes the laptops need to just shut off for a minute.
That's right.
Well, that's the same with us. Like we just need to shut it down for a second.
Amen.
And there's so much science behind that. So to your point, having something close where I can run and do this a couple of times a day for 10 to 15 minutes and just shut it down. You have goggles. You're not on your phone. You're not on Instagram. You're shut down. You're disconnected. But you're regulating your nervous system. That's what we need.
I hope y'all just brought that in because that was so good. I was just kind of soothing thing about no phone, just like
nothing.
15 minutes of relaxation.
Your
favorite music, and just relaxing. Oh man. The mask.
Yeah.
What's that mask?
It's red light. It's not red light. It's light therapy.
Yeah.
So
because my wife Melanie, she's always like, we need one of those masks.
Yeah.
It's
like, Halloween.
You're right. Exactly.
There you go. Exactly. The TheraFace Pro I told you about that has the light therapy.
Correct. that
ring, we learned from that you can actually bend light. So long story short, it's a light therapy mask that you put on your face, and we put vibration little nodes around your eyes for pressure points around your eyes, and we have vibration on the sutures of your skull. It's the most relaxing thing in the world. Oh, and by the way, at the same time, you're getting red light, blue light, and infrared light. We wear it for 9 minutes a day, 3 minutes on each light. Red's great for wrinkles. Be good for me and you.
Mark that tape. Amen.
Blue lights for acne. Great for athletes.
Yeah.
Wearing helmets all the time. Sweaty and stuff. And then infrared is for the muscles of the face. So you're getting skin, acne, muscles in 9 minutes, plus the massage on your head. It's not just for beauty. which it looks like a beauty mask, but it's actually super healthy.
Out of all of that, I know the answer is all of them, but is there one that you are just really excited for people to try more of? I mean, I know you always say Theragun.
Well, we just launched today. We just launched what we have, our new jet boots that have red light in them. So we have compression boots that have red light and they vibrate. So we're learning so much about light therapy and how you can provide that as a treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, you saw the Juve things. You have to stand in front of it. Some of your athletes probably, yeah. That's what it was years ago. But now you're able to throw them in these chips where you can actually change the frequency of the light.
And you get them in the boots.
And they're in the boots. Yeah.
Because I gotta make a confession. Melanie's really good at this, like standing in front of that wall. But like I don't. Because I don't feel anything.
Yeah, me neither.
And I'm a knucklehead because I don't feel the change. I don't do it. Compression boots, the gun. Like if I feel it, I'll do it every day.
Yeah.
So I love the sound of it's in the boots because you feel the compression boots. So get the boots with the red light therapy. And you're killing two birds with one stone.
That's how I've always thought. That's what sort of the thinking I brought into this. Wait, no, if we're going to do that, let's do this at the same time. Like, why not?
Interesting.
Yeah.
How much of the red light therapy are you guys getting into? Because I mean, there's a lot coming out on that, but they've got now the red light sauna with the salt, and they've got all these different aspects, the red light wall, the Juve wall, and everything, are you really going deeper on that?
Yeah.
Something there.
I think the opportunity there, in my opinion, is the education. Understanding that the red light you're getting in the sauna is not necessarily the direct red light you're getting on your skin. But if you're getting red light anywhere, it's a global effect. It's not just on that area.
Yep.
So it's all of that understanding. If you have the red light on your face, you're stimulating ATP in your face and collagen.
Yep.
So now you are affecting the skin on your face, but red light has a global effect on your blood. So there's a really big opportunity for us to provide the ability to do these on a regular basis. That's the biggest thing.
So dumb question. If you got the boots on, you're getting red light therapy in your lower body, you got the mask on, you got your face.
Yeah.
Are we not getting the quote full effect of red light therapy because it's only my lower body and my face?
Yes, you are.
You are.
Yes, you are.
Because it's systemic.
And the red light saunas are a little different because now it's the heat that it's providing as well.
Yep.
So now you're getting the heat that actually works on the vessels of the body. But they also have to understand that red light saunas are different than hot saunas.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So like that for me is the biggest opportunity to start teaching people because these practices are going to become more and more available to people.
Out of all the practices that are going on now, is there one that we don't hear a lot about that is the next generation or next wave? Like, 5 years ago, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation about all of these different modalities now. Is there one that you're just starting to hear coming on to the landscape that in the next year or two we're going to be hearing about regularly? Or is it the red light therapy? Or is it, God, there's so many different things.
I think
anything new?
Yeah. Generally, there's nothing that stands out in my mind, but generally things are going to become more compact. The battery lives are going to become stronger and stronger, just like anything else, technology. Sure. I think the way you're delivering these mechanisms, red light, vibration, hot and cold, are becoming more accessible.
Yeah.
You think about when you and I were younger, you wanted ice, you got ice.
That's right.
And that's not like super convenient, Hey, put this on your ride home. Your mom's yelling at you, you're getting water all the place. So it's different now because I could put something on you that we've created, stick it on your knee. And so it's hard to answer that question because I don't see anything standing out.
Yeah.
Kevin Plank, I watched him talk about clothing and what they're doing in that, what that looks like. I feel like that's also going to lend some growth in recovery.
Yeah.
Because we're going to learn a lot from the things are about our bodies from the things that they're creating.
Well, Kevin, I mean, I'll tell you, I think it was 2017, 18, being part of Under Armour for a long time. There's the innovation lab up in Oregon that we went up to. And it was awesome. Amazing. Like that then was what it is now today. Like where the recovery world is today, they had it in 17. They were doing all the research on it and the team. So it was cool to see KP's vision then and the team behind it, because it's always like, okay, what's coming up next? What's behind that on the whole recovery side? I just have to ask you because it's such a big topic and I love it, but it's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. Just real quick, cold plunges. You're a fan or you're not a fan? And why?
I do it every day.
Okay. Mentally, for the mental
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's my routine, and everyone's is different.
Sure.
My routine is 4 minutes at about 40 degrees.
Okay. Wow.
42 or just depending on where.
4 minutes?
To be honest, Todd, it's just where I'm into a place where I'm in control of my breath at about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So that next minute and a half or 2 minutes for me is just, that's what I live for. And to go through that challenge and then just sitting in the water and then having it all of a sudden be warm, after the fourth minute, like that really is for me. Yeah. And I think one of the things that I was with a bunch of guys in Europe, we were talking about this, and they're all about our age and they're talking about this and that. And I said, what do you do after your cold plunge? Like, I get right in the hot shower. I'm like, you're kind of missing out on the whole reason you did it. Like I don't think people really understand fully what that's about. So for me, it's about the cold exposure, but it's how quickly it takes my body to get back to warm itself.
Yeah. No, thank you for answering that. No, thank you. I want to ask that because that was a big decision for us, as you know, because we were chopping up on the weekends and trying to make our decisions with IXP of like, man, do I want to put the cold plunge in? Because it's, you got to make sure it's clean all the time and all these different aspects from a business standpoint. And honestly, it was my wife. She said, listen, Todd, if you're going to say you're world class, you need a cold plunge. And I did the research because there's dozens of research, hundreds of different researches done and all the physiological benefits of cold and cryo and what cold plunges do. And I said, you're right. We have cold plunges. I just wanted to hear because this is how you spend your world in the recovery space and studying what works and what doesn't work. And that
when it's incorporated, I'll say this one-liner. When it's incorporated into a wellness routine, it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
It by itself is good.
Yeah.
But it's so much better when you incorporate it on a regular basis. Consistency is key.
So I want to shift because I can talk recovery all day and I love it. And I thank you for everything that you're doing. But on a personal level, I'm curious because as a busy entrepreneur, you've been obsessed with growth, like we talked about, and always trying to make the maximum impact. I'm sure that's taken a toll in some areas of your life. What would be the hardest areas of your life that being obsessed with success, so to speak, has challenged you the most?
Personal relationships. Yeah, personal relationships. There's, when you asked me earlier, what are you good at? And I said, relationships. That's a challenge because what we do, what I do, and you get it, is you connect with people. Yeah. And when you do that, you have 3 people, and then you have 6 people, and then you have 32 people, and you have in different time zones. And so after a while, when you're connecting with all these different people, the ones that matter the most are the ones that end up getting the least.
That's right.
And so, I don't know, it's one of those old man tales, where I wish that I would have spent more time. I'm doing it now purposely with my children. I'm making sure that I have at least one day a week where I get full on with them.
Yeah.
That's the part that suffered. I heard a coach one time talk about, he was a Super Bowl winning guy. I'm not going to say his name, and he said, winning has a lot of sacrifices. Daddy-daughter days, scout camps, football games. He started listing off all these things that he missed. Yeah. And you can't make that up.
Yeah, no.
So that's for me is probably been the biggest challenge to juggle. I don't want to say I've failed because I don't think I did. I have great relationships. I have amazing people around me. But those are the things that I'm hardest on myself about.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's where the mentorship comes in, having mentors that have been there, done that. I'll never forget my dad, my late father. He was at all of my stuff between age 10 and 20, came back in my life at 10. And until he passed away at 20, he was at everything because he missed the first 10 years of my life pretty much. And then now, Pastor Jeremiah, I remember him telling me that he used to go see his son, Daniel. Daniel Jeremiah is on the NFL Network now. He's a radio commentator for the San Diego Chargers. But he would fly to go see Daniel's games every weekend at Appalachian State, fly home after the game on Saturday night so he could preach on Sunday. I'm like, you didn't miss Sundays? He goes, no. But I wasn't going to miss that game either. So now, I mean, as we speak, Jason, every weekend, I'm like back and forth to the East Coast to see Luke.
I see that.
And it's because
I'm like, wait, is he playing local?
No, it's because Pastor Jay, one of my mentors, said, don't miss a game.
Yeah.
It's a senior year. You be at as many games as you can. If you've got to fly home Saturday night, fly home Saturday night, Sunday, like be there. And so I've got this mentor who's in my head of like, don't miss that because it's going to be over like that. So again, none of us are perfect. I'm doing my best, but every week I'm back and forth like coast to coast. And
you'll never regret that.
No, I won't because but in two months it'll be all over. Right. But now, like when I'm going through something, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get on another plane and fly 6 hours to get a hotel or whatever? But to the point, like those are the lessons that when you have mentors around that have been there, it's like, I don't want to regret that and have them say, but Dad, you never came to my game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't care if you're playing every down, you don't play a down. It's not about that. It's, are you there?
I agree, Todd, mentors are important. I said, having that group of people around you, I have a group of people that are my rocks.
Yeah.
Hold me accountable.
What would you say your superpower is? I call your divine uniqueness, but if there's something that like makes you who you are, what's your divine uniqueness?
That I reflect your wellness back at you. That I reflect the wellness around me. And I'm a healer. I really think that's, when it gets right down to it, that's what it is. And when I say reflect, I mean, when I'm with someone long enough, with a patient or an athlete, I'm working with them for a minute, I start to get into their psyche.
I've seen you do it. You get in the flow. I remember even back, gosh, it was probably 2016, 17, 18 when you came to Fitness Quest 10 and you were double gunning. You had the double guns on every the athletes and the clients and the trainers, and you're double gunning. It was like you're in your zone.
Yeah.
Right. You're in the zone.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Sometimes the more success you get, you get away from the zone. Like you were talking earlier, how just going back sometimes in serving people. Like I know this day when I'm training people, I'm the happiest. Like when I'm just training, I'm just coaching people at a lecture or workshop, or I'm here and I'm training, or
you can see it.
It's like, that's when you're just in your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Right? How do you do more of that? What's something that you do that no one else knows that you do that helps you be you?
Two things, I think. I mean, I think people would assume that I meditate because I talk about it, but I meditate a lot, quite often. Depending on how quickly I can get in and drop in and get to a place where I need to kind of resolve some things. And then I have a little breathing thing that I do. We used to have a thing at Therabody called Hump Day with Dr. J, and it was during COVID.
Okay.
Because we were just trying to get people through the weeks, So every Wednesday I'd get on at 9 a.m. for the world, and then at 4 p.m. for the U.S. based team. And we had like 550 employees at the time. It was a ton of people.
Jeez.
Yeah, we had a lot of people. Maybe not quite that much. It was over 500. And so we would have Hump Day with Dr. J. And so this is my thing. And so when I say no one knows, it's probably there's people that are aware of this. Should I go through it really quick?
Please.
So what I ask you to do is bring 5 things in your life that you want. And they can be things. They don't have to be, spiritual things. They could be a new ring or a new tires or whatever. But I want you to bring 5 things that you want in your life.
Okay.
And I have my 5 things are, has to do something with my children, has to do something with what I want to be as a person. So those 5 things, we're going to take 5 breaths and we're going to breathe those into our life. So what you do is you do a double breath in. So it goes like this. And on the inhale, you're imagining what that thing looks like. Let's say I want a new house. I'm going to design my house. I want a photo of my house. If it's on my phone and that's the thing I have to look at before I close my eyes, and as I hold that in, I'm going to let myself, if I can, feel goosebumps, and then I'm going to let it out. And as I exhale, I'm going to let my body feel what it feels like to have that. And I assign a word to that. So we'll do it once. Say it's, one of mine is to have a strong relationship with my children. So I imagine what that looks like. Here, I'll show you my screen saver.
Got it.
Right? Go. So there's my thing. Bam. And I go, I do that 5 times. So I'll do that in the car. I'll do that. And it depends on what's happening in my life as to when I really need to lock in and hold on to those things. Or sometimes we talked about a second ago, I'm riding a wave and things are good and I'm okay for a second. But I really kind of try to go back to those 2 things. My golden hour is meditation in the morning.
Just a quick question on that.
Yeah.
When you're doing the breath work, you said 5 times. How many breaths are you taking on your kids? Is it just one?
Just one breath. Yep. So I'll do kids, do this. And I try to go in and out the nose, then let go of the mouth just because it drops. And then this next one, let's say is I'm just going to say a new car. And you just go through.
So every breath,
every breath is that new thing.
Okay, yeah.
And what I've done in my book is I write the thing down, whatever it is, and then I write the word next to it that I want. Peace. You know how it feels to feel peace.
Yeah.
You know the difference between peace and gratitude. You know the difference between peace, gratitude, and love. You know the difference between peace, gratitude, and excitement. Right? So you allow yourself, you name that emotion, and then you allow yourself to feel that for 1 second. I'm not saying you have to do it all day. Just give your nervous system that ability to be like, oh my God, that's what it feels like.
That's right.
So to me, it's like Joe Dispenza stuff.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good. And you do that every day? Most days of the week?
Most days of the week. Yeah.
So that was one, the breath work. What was it?
Meditation.
The meditation.
Yeah, the meditation.
And is that a formal practice, or is it kind of all over?
There's a couple of positions that I'll get in depending on what I'm going for. This is going to sound funny. But like when I'm looking for inspiration around Theragun, there's a certain position I get into.
Gotcha.
So, and I just kind of breathe into that position and I just kind of I can share this because I love you and your family and stuff. Hopefully people will not think I'm a weirdo when you're listening to this, but this is real. Things have come to me in those moments where you're using them in your, like today, that have come to me like, oh, wow, okay. That I wouldn't, had I not taken the time to be in that space, it wouldn't have come to me. And sometimes it's talking to my engineer. Hey, I'm thinking about this. What does this look like? And I'm like, wait, what? Oh my God. Like the boots with the red light. Yeah. First time I zipped those up, I was sitting there just meditating. I'm like, we got to put a red light in these. And they're like, we can't do that. There's the batteries too. I'm like, we have to put red light in these. Like that's got to happen.
Yep.
So
they figured it out.
Those moments allow. So when you say as a formal practice, it is depending on what I'm trying to get from the universe.
You know, I don't know if this is because of that practice that you just mentioned, but I feel like, and maybe it's just because we're 10 years older than when we first met, that even your disposition, it's a calmer, more peaceful, almost like a more Zen-like energy. Where do you think that comes from? Because life has gotten busier, crazier. There's a lot on the plate, but I feel like your aura, your presence has been more settled. Like I saw that at the Impact Summit. We were on stage and we got emotional on stage. And I was like, this brother, man, has gotten deeper and deeper as long as I've known you. Does that come from wisdom? Is it because of the daily practice of what we just talked about? I just feel like your energy and disposition has deepened. And maybe you don't recognize it because it's you.
I think I do because I've tried. It's been a conscious effort of mine. I'm not in warrior mode anymore.
Interesting.
And I think for a long time I was in warrior mode.
Interesting.
I was ready to go at any time, and it was all on the line, and I had to make it happen. I had to get to this place, and I had to get to that place. And now I'm not in warrior mode so much. My wife and I joke, it's more thinking about it like a king. Like I'm sort of now I'm here now, and I'm going to try and continue to allow the things be created around me, and I'm not feeling like I'm the creator.
How did you make that shift? Was it a conscious decision?
No, I think it's what you talked about. I think it's just being in touch with who I am and realizing that this isn't about me.
It's deep. It's deep.
I was with a guy, I tell this story a lot. I was with a guy in Africa, and we were driving in a bus next to each other, going out to see some really cool things. And he's a leader. Everyone will hear about this person eventually. And I was curious about how he has this. I mean, the guy was so magnet. He just had oozing love. And then I see what he's doing, and I'm hearing these things he's doing. And so I was asking him, like, hey, and he knew who I was and stuff. And he said, I truly believe that you have to have a vision and a dream that's something you'll never see come to fruition. Because if you see it happen, then you suddenly have this, look what I did. But if you never see it happen, you're always humble, you're always striving, you're always sharing, you're always working. You never made it yet. And that resonated with me a lot, because I know I'll never get to that.
Totally.
See?
Yeah.
I'll never get there. But on the way, I'm going to do my very best. But it's not on me anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I think you might be seeing.
Look down at your phone and mark the tape and listen to that again. That's really good, Jason. Wow.
Thanks.
As we come close to a close here, there's a couple other questions I have, and please, if they're too deep, too personal, let me know. But I've known you a long time. And I think it was 2017, 2018. I still remember I was outside Las Vegas at Hoover Dam. I got a call that your brother had just passed.
Yeah.
You lost him several years back. And I know you did a lot of soul searching during that time. How did you get through that time where your little brother passed away?
Got me. It was hard.
I know.
You don't think that you hear it, but you like, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But then it was, I think what got me through that was my relationship with him. Was just being familiar with what it felt like to have him around, and then just still feel him.
Yeah.
What
were the 2 or 3 like best things about him that you could still hold today?
Well, the first thing I was going to say is his smell. Like
all brothers.
Yeah,
smell.
like I grew up with this kid. We were like Irish twins. He was 18 months younger than I am, and he was my best friend. I mean, even to the day, and even now, I still have conversations with him.
Totally.
There's times where I'll just be like, I just sense him there, and I'm having a conversation in my head, and I know it's not me. It's So I think that's what got me through, to be honest, is just the relationship we had, which goes back to how important it is to have those relationships with the people you love. He was a special ops trainer. So he wasn't a special ops guy. He went through law enforcement. So he's a policeman for like 20 years. The DEA got him. So he went into the DEA. He was a DEA for when the Olympics were at Utah. Yep. They loved him in the DEA. So he was undercover. So there was like 4 or 5 years. I had no idea where the guy was, what he was doing, where he was going. He'd show up and he'd have long hair. And I'm like, bro, is that a wig? What are you doing? He'd go to the Middle East and train, and he was really good with guns. He could dismantle someone. He was really good with self-defense. He was one of the strongest people that I've ever met. Wow. Still to this day. For his size, he was 5'8", 5'9", 225, diabetic, 5% body fat year round. Just was lean and ripped and mean. Like, you did not want to meet this guy. I mean, he's told me stories about breaking through doors and, beanbag shotguns, shooting guys in the chest and arresting them, like some really crazy things. But he was the softest person I have ever met.
Interesting.
He can connect. His ability to write poems, just free flow, like just write poems was amazing. Like that. Those were some special things about him. He was super connected with animals. It pissed me off, The dogs would bite me and they'd like sit next to him. I'd be so mad at him about that.
What do you think, if he was here today, what do you think he'd say to you?
I think he'd probably be a smart ass at first. Like it'd be definitely something about, I don't know, how I smell or something. He's always been a really good influence about family first. His family was so important to him. I think that's probably the first thing he'd say. I mean, we'd hug. We don't, how it is. Wouldn't be a lot. Yeah. I think that's one of the best things about he and I. Like we wouldn't see each other for, several months, and one hug and it's like you're back. So
thank you for sharing that. I know how much he meant to you. I remember that conversation vividly, exactly where I was at the Hoover Dam, when we chatted. I was like, man, there's those times and you don't forget stuff like that. And I know his legacy's still living. I know that, and I know he'd be proud of you. What's one thing I'm not asking you that I should be? Is there any other questions that personally or professionally that, you're so full of wisdom and you shared so much today, and I thank you. But is there any one thing that I'm not asking you that I should be, that you wish I did?
No. I think probably the only thing that I would share is when you're struggling, when you're out there, the people that are listening, when you're in a place hopefully I think you'll all understand, the voices in your head start talking to you and they're really not helpful. And I think if I could help people, it would be, and I'm not trying to plug our products, but the voices in your head come from your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. And 90% of those thoughts are lies.
Yep.
And if people could understand that the way you shut those voices down is by doing something physical with your body, breath work, humming, meditation, music, and shutting the voices down and getting to a place where you're feeling those voids with your own chosen words, that to me is what we're trying to do. Those lounges you're putting in at Impact, when I look at those, that's my time to shut the voices down and rebuild from the inside with the voices I want to hear. So I hope people, when they look at our products, they see further than just a massage tool or just some boots or just therapy, sound therapy or vibroacoustic therapy, that they recognize those things are turning on our parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. And when your body receives those signals, that's when you recover. And if you can recover in a space where the voices aren't there, so the sympathetic is off, what can we do to provide more of that for us as humans? And that's really what we try to do with Therabody, is create a space where you can take time for yourself to shut the voices down. Man, if you're a mom with young kids or a dad with young kids trying to make it in the world, I can't imagine today what the voices are. Instagram, guilt this, guilt that, beating you up. You're a piece of crap. You don't deserve all those nasty things that come in your head. Physical things make them go away really quickly. And I don't mean drugs and alcohol. That's the bad way to do it. These physical things that actually build and help your body recover. That would probably be not a question, but it would be my message.
It's good. It's good. What's next for you? Do you have any big things coming up? Not product releases per se, but for you personally, is there anything that you're excited about in the next 6 to 12 months that hey,
I am super excited. I'm so glad you said that. I just spoke at Oxford University. I didn't get to tell you about this.
No.
So I just spoke at Oxford University with a guy named Stephen Porges and his wife, Sue. Really fast, Stephen created the polyvagal theory. Okay. The polyvagal theory is how we deal with trauma. So you're in dorsal vagal, sympathetic, ventral vagal. If you guys are listening and you want to look this up, just look up the polyvagal theory. And it's taught and practiced by psychotherapists and therapists globally on how you manage trauma. Steve and I met, and we realized Theragun actually helps people release their trauma in their body. So I went to Oxford and sat on a panel with him and his wife and talked about this. His wife is a neurobiologist and an endocrinologist, one of the smartest people, let alone male, female, that I've ever met. She's the sweetest person. I call her a queen all the time. She doesn't like it. That she is the world's leading expert on oxytocin. And oxytocin is how you bond with people.
Yep.
Oxytocin is at its highest when your wife is giving birth to her children and other mammals. There's a connection there that's created through oxytocin. So now we're talking about trauma and oxytocin with the two world leaders, and I'm sitting up there with Theragun.
No way.
At Oxford University. So what I'm most excited about is that this information is going to start to bleed out into the world, and people with PTSD, severe depression, pain, they're going to start seeing our product in different lights, because it's not me that's saying it. It's the world's experts saying this helps your body with trauma. So that's what I'm so excited about. It's one thing to work on the best athletes in the world, and I would never trade that because that's something special. But when you're able to help that athlete's mom deal with her trauma with the same tools, to me, that's where we're really going to have some power.
Have you ever considered doing like a 1 or 2 day retreat with Dr. Jason? Like I get like all your breath work and all your stuff. It'd be cool. I could see that.
It's a good idea.
Like just an intensive, a 1 or 2 day where you're doing all the breath work, all the meditations, all the movement. And like, there's a lot that you packed in there today that I was thinking if there was, you taking notes on this, or when you think about the practices, you talked about the practices earlier, it'd be a really great experience to experience that versus talking about it. So anyway,
okay, you heard
2025.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's 2025.
That's what I'm most excited about.
it's coming. It's coming. We'll do something together. Well, last question, as always, this is the Impact Show. I want to just ask, impact is legacy. And legacy is, when I say live a life, we're telling a story about what is your story. You have one heck of a story, and you're really helping people's stories and legacies become well. And you talked about pain several times today and helping people get out of pain. But what do you most want to be remembered for someday? Do you have something in your mind like, hey, I want to be, this is my statement. This is what really makes me tick. Like, what do you want them to say about your life someday when you're long gone?
I saw this the other day, and this resonated with me so strongly. And it's funny you asked me this. A man is great not because he hasn't failed. Get emotional. I think about this. A man is great because failure hasn't stopped him. I think if you look at my life, I've been divorced a few times. I filed bankruptcy. You have these things that are failures, like big ones. And I think that's probably what I can imagine my grandkids saying one day is, man, he went through so much, but he didn't stop.
Wow. Dr. Jason, thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Guys, make sure you follow Dr. Jason Wersland. He is on Instagram. I'll put all his information in the show notes. But Dr. Jason, where can someone find you? What's your handle on Instagram or your website?
Yeah,
obviously,
it's at Dr. Jason Wersland. So Dr. Jason Wersland. That's probably the quickest one to get me at. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I got a great person to help me with that. He's awesome. And then at Therabody, Therabody.com, we have our science, our research, our education, products, obviously. There's a lot on there. Yeah. We have a blog, we have a video blog, we have science. So I think if you dig into Therabody, you'll run into me at some point. But yeah.
I always love, this always resonated with me, is people don't always love doing business with businesses, but they love doing business with people. And I think the soul of Dr. Jason Wersland is in Therabody. And I love Therabody because of your soul. Because every time I use Therabody, there's a story behind it. There's a story. It's not just a product. There's a story behind it. There's a soul behind it. And with every invention, a new creation, there's something there. And I hope that today, as you listened in, you felt some of the soul of what Jason was talking about and his heart and soul between successes and failures and, everything he just mentioned. That all of the quote failures and the tough times, the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into where you're at now, and you're not done by any means. It's all part of your story. So I want to say thank you for you kept going and you kept going and you kept going like that darn bunny rabbit, right? That just wouldn't stop. And you got emotional sharing that, but I think if there's one thing I could share about your story is that you've kept going and reinventing and recreating and putting yourself around great people. And I know you're not done, but I want to say thank you for taking the time to drive down from Los Angeles today to be here live in studio for today. Guys, if you can do us a huge favor, take a picture of this wherever you're at right now, whatever platform you're using, and then share it on your social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Can you please share this? Because I believe the heart and soul of Dr. Jason Wersland needs to get out, and this story needs to get out. And tag Therabody, tag Dr. Jason, tag myself. I'll put all of that in the show notes. You have it. But let's spread this story. Because I believe when I talk about be the light, be the light, be the light, Dr. Jason is putting a lot of light out into the universe. His team at Therabody, and I've met many of them, not all of them, because there's hundreds of them, are putting a lot of light out into the universe, and they truly care. They truly care about their product. It's not just a product that vibrates or compresses or, you put it in your face. That behind every product, there's a soul that they realize is going to touch. So I want to say thank you, Dr. Jason, for coming down today and spending time to wrap on today's show. And for all you listening in, I know we've gone OT, but that's what Dr. Jason and I do. We got deep into the weeds here. So without further ado, guys, that's a wrap for today. Remember, as always, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact today. God bless y'all.